Paris 13, and he's going to talk to us about mathematical models for the spread of Wolbachia and for dengue control. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for that. First, I would like to thank the organizer for giving me the opportunity to talk in this very nice city. Actually, it's not my first time in Rio, but I'm always glad to come in Rio, and I'm very happy to present this work because this work is a result of several interactions that I have in Rio with people in Rio. In particular, this is a work in collaboration with Georges Zubeli, but also this is a work resulting from interaction with people from the Fiocruz, which is a Fondation Oswaldo Cruz, which is an institute which is quite important in Brazil. Okay, but what I want to present is something related to the dengue control, in particular the mathematical modeling of the spread. When I talk about the spread, it's a spatial spread, the spread in space for a bacteria which is named Wolbachia. I will explain what is Wolbachia and why we are interested in this bacteria. This is a joint work with, as I said, Georges Zubeli, but also some people in France, Grégoire Nadin and Martin Strugarec, who are in Paris 6. Okay. Look, first, I will start by an introduction. I want to present what is Wolbachia, why we are interested in this bacteria. The second point will be the mathematical modeling. The third point will be, what is the topic of my talk, that is the spatial spread of Wolbachia. We will see that we will be interested by looking for traveling waves. And the final point will be why sometimes these waves may be blocked by heterogeneity in space. Okay, these are the 4 points in my presentation. Let's start with the beginning. What is Wolbachia? First, some facts about dengue fever. Maybe you know that dengue is a tropical vector-borne disease. What I mean by vector-borne, it means that it is a disease which is transmitted by the vector. Of course, everybody knows what is the vector. The vector is a mosquito, mosquitoes. If you want to know some number, it infects 50 million people every year, and it kills approximately 20,000 people annually in the world. There are 4 different serotypes, and for the moment, there is no efficient vaccine to control dengue fever. The mosquitoes that we are interested in particular in the region of Brazil, are of 2 kinds, Aedes aegypti and Aedes albopictus. But also, these mosquitoes are vectors for other diseases. We are thinking about chikungunya, and also everybody remember what happened last year about Zika during the Olympics. This map is a map where the species Aedes aegypti is endemic around the world. But actually, no, this species spread in many countries, and we can even find Aedes aegypti in the south of France, and Aedes albopictus also. Okay, but if we want to fight against these arboviruses, if we want to fight against dengue, chikungunya, or Zika, for the moment we have no vaccine. There is some curative treatment, but okay, this is a way to treat. But if you want to really try to avoid this kind of peak of disease, the best way to do is to act on the mosquito population. We try to act to control the mosquito population. And to do that, there are different methods. First, there is a mechanical remove of breeding sites. This is, I think, in Rio every year there are some advertisements to ask people to clean houses, to remove waters, to try to avoid the breeding sites for mosquitoes. This is quite efficient, but if people do really what they have to do. And this is not so easy to force people to do the cleaning things, and this is why it has not so good efficiency, but it's very difficult to implement. There is another way, which is the application of insecticide. Of course, now everybody knows that insecticide have negative impact on the environment, and also another negative impact is the fact that it increases the mosquito resistance. But after a certain time, if you use 2 insecticides, the mosquitoes have become resistant, and your insecticide is not more efficient. But you have to find another way. There is a technique which is quite famous, which is a technique of sterile insect, which consists in releasing sterile mosquitoes, which is very nice. Sometimes it works. The idea is that you take male, you sterilize the male, and then you release the male sterilized into the nature, and you hope that, these males are there to occupy the female, so that the female cannot give birth to any new mosquitoes. And the idea is to reduce the size of the population. And sometimes it works, and it can even let the population go into zero. The bad things with mosquitoes is that mosquitoes actually have a very high fitness, thus you cannot, it's difficult to fight against the reinvasion. But there is a report for some insects, there are many reports for which these techniques give very good results. And the last point that I want to present now is the use of Wolbachia-infected mosquitoes. Thus, what is Wolbachia? Wolbachia is an endosymbiotic bacteria that is found in most arthropod species. But in many insects, Wolbachia is already present in the nature. You have nothing to do, you have Wolbachia, except for mosquitoes. Okay, that's the first point. But you can infect in laboratory mosquitoes by Wolbachia. But why it is interesting? First, Wolbachia can be transmitted from mother to offspring. This is a maternally transmitted bacteria. Thus, if a mother has Wolbachia, it transmits it to its child. This is what, if you look to this, this is this, okay, no, this one, which one is it? Top one. Ah, okay. Sorry. If you look to this table, here you have the female, here you have the male. If the female are infected by Wolbachia, all the child will be infected by Wolbachia. I is for infected. Okay? But in this table, these two ones are infected. But if the female is not infected, if the female mates an infected male, actually there is no viable kids. This is due to what we call a cytoplasmic incompatibility, which makes the fact that if this mating cannot give anything, almost no kids. There is still a little bit, but almost nothing. You can approximate to say that here it is 0. And of course, if a non-infected female mates a non-infected male, of course, kids will not be not infected. This is what naturally appears in the nature. What is nice also with Wolbachia, it blocks the transmission of viruses. But if mosquitoes are infected by Wolbachia, they cannot transmit the disease, dengue, chikungunya, and also Zika. But this is why we want to use this bacteria. This bacteria is transmitted from mother to offspring, okay? And if mosquitoes are infected by Wolbachia, they stop the transmission of the disease. They cannot transmit the disease. But there are some side effects. They reduce the fecundity of mosquitoes infected by Wolbachia is reduced. The lifespan also is reduced. But the question we want to know is, okay, if you look to this table, again, here, you see that you have, in the 4 possible mating, okay, only 3 of them are viable, and on the 3, 2 of them give infected mosquitoes. Okay? Thus you think that there is an advantage of the Wolbachia-infected mosquitoes, and what you want to do is to know if, when you release mosquito infected by Wolbachia, if you can replace the existing population by a population which is totally infected by the bacteria. And when the population, if the population will be totally infected by the bacteria, normally, since there is no transmission possible of the disease, it will block the disease. Okay? But this is what we want to do. And in particular, what we are interested in is the spatial transmission. Because if you want to release mosquitoes, what people do, actually, what they are doing in Brazil right now, not maybe right now, but this year, is to release infected mosquitoes. They take mosquitoes, they infect it in the laboratory, then they come into the field, and they release the mosquitoes in some place. And of course, you cannot release everywhere. And the question we want to do is, if you release in some place, how you can guarantee that you can invade the whole city, for instance, or a big domain? This is a question we are interested in, how to guarantee the invasion of Wolbachia, how to guarantee that your population will be replaced by a population infected by Wolbachia. Okay, but this is a mathematical question. And to do so, of course, we have to start with the model. But this is the second point. Okay, I consider now 2 populations. What I call Ni is the density of Wolbachia-infected mosquitoes. And U is the density of uninfected mosquitoes. I call D the death rate, because you have Du, the death rate of uninfected, and Di, the death rate of infected. Of course, since Wolbachia has a negative impact on the mosquitoes, this number Di is bigger than Du, but we have, there is a parameter delta which is bigger than 1. Okay? The fecundity is F, Fu, Fi, and also since Wolbachia reduces the fecundity of infected mosquitoes, Fi is less than Fu, but there is a parameter E, which is SF, which measures the reduction of the fecundity. But here, all the parameters are, there is one parameter, which is a cytoplasmic incompatibility parameter, this is a parameter that measures cytoplasmic incompatibility. I recall the cytoplasmic incompatibility, this is a cross here. The fact that when a sound female mates an infected male, there is almost no viable eggs. But this is this parameter here. SH is a fraction of uninfected female eggs fertilized by an infected male, which will not hatch. SH is a fraction that eggs which will not hatch in the case when there is a mating between infected female with infected males. And since we are interested by logistic growth term, that we consider carrying capacity, which is denoted K. But the model is this one. Let's start by the dynamics for the NI population, that is the infected population. With real-time dynamics, here this is a spatial, the Brownian motion. This is a spatial distribution. And here you have the fecundity. And these terms, you recognize here a logistic growth term, Ni multiplied by I minus the total population divided by the carrying capacity, which is a very standard term, and the death rate. But this is very standard. For the second equation, also it's almost the same, except that you have this term here. This term here is due to the cytoplasmic incompatibility, the fact that only a fraction of eggs will hatch when there is a mating between infected male with non-infected females. The fraction is SH, but we have these parameters, this extra term that appears here compared to the first equation. But this very simple system is the starting point of our study. But we have this very simple system. Okay. The first point now is to consider only the ODE, but we forget about this Laplacian here in both equations, and you look for the ODE system. But you have a system of two equations. Of course, you can compute what are the equilibria and the stability of the equilibria. Okay, I don't do the computation, but I will not show you the computation. I only show you the results. The results are the following. Okay, there is a condition here which is satisfied actually. And if under this condition, there are four distinct non-negative equilibria. The first one, which is the one in which we are interested, is the Wolbachia invasion. But the total population is replaced by the population infected by Wolbachia. In this case, you have only Wolbachia population, and you have 0 for the uninfected population. And this equilibria is stable. The second one is the reverse, when this is the natural one, okay, when there is no mosquitoes infected by Wolbachia. And this, of course, it is stable because this is what is usually in the nature. If you do nothing, you are in this state. Okay? And there is a coexistence steady state where you have both infected and uninfected mosquitoes. Okay, the expression is given by this, but don't pay attention to that. What is important is that this state is unstable. And also, the extension state 0, 0 is unstable. Okay. Now, we want to consider this Laplacian term. Of course, it becomes much more complicated. And that's why what I want to do now is to present an asymptotics which will make possible to make some study. And in particular, it will reduce the model. Okay, the asymptotic is the following one. We assume that the fertility is quite big, in particular compared to the death term, which is actually what is true. If you take the numerical examples that you find in the literature, you find that this parameter is 20, maybe 50 times bigger than the other parameter in the model. Thus, you can consider that there is a kind of epsilon, which is quite small, and you can replace f by a constant divided by epsilon. You do it here and here. Okay? When you look to this model, epsilon being very small, okay, if you just pass to the limit epsilon go to 0, what you see is that the dominant term are this one and this one. Okay? If you let epsilon go to 0, the terms which are important are this one and this one. But when epsilon goes to 0, these terms with 1 over epsilon in front should vanish, should go to 0. You multiply everything by epsilon and you observe that this term should go to 0. It means that actually this term cannot vanish because this is Ni is a population n, Nu is a population, this is a constant, but this cannot vanish. But the only possibility is that this term vanish. It means that at the limit, you expect that Ni plus Nu is equal to the total population is equal to the carrying capacity plus something of order epsilon. Okay? Then you introduce what is the something of order epsilon. You call it n, small n. Small n is the difference between Ni plus Nu divided by k of order epsilon. You introduce this quantity. And we introduce also the fraction of infected population. Ni divided by Ni plus Nu is the fraction of infected population over the total population. But if you introduce these two parameters, you do some computation to know what are the equations satisfied by these two parameters, knowing that you know the equation for ni, the equation for nu, but you compute what is the equation satisfied by this, and you find this beautiful system here. And once again, in this system, what you want to do is to let epsilon go to 0. If you let epsilon go to 0, you see that there is only one term. Okay, this term goes to 0 when epsilon goes to 0, because there is an epsilon in front here, but this goes to 0. Okay? And there is only one term with 1 over epsilon, which is this one. But it means that this quantity, when epsilon goes to 0, should go to 0, at least formally. We have to prove it rigorously, but at least formally, this goes to 0. And if this quantity goes to 0, if you assume that p converges to a certain limit that I call p0, n converges to a certain limit that I call n0, we have a relation between p and n. And this relation is given by this quantity. You write that this quantity is equal to 0. It gives you that n is equal to delta u du delta minus 1p plus 1 divided by all these things, which is written here. Okay? But you have a relation between n0 and p0. And now, if you plug this relation into the second equation, here, what you obtain is this very beautiful equation, which is only an equation for the fraction of infected mosquitoes. But to summarize, I start with a system of two equations, infected population, uninfected population. And finally, if I make some asymptotics, we can prove that it converges into a system only for a scalar equation only for the proportion of infected mosquitoes. And this equation is this one. And what is interesting is that this is exactly the equation that has been introduced by Barton and Turelli in their famous paper when they looked to the spatial wave of advance for a base-stable system in the American Naturalist 6 years ago already. Okay, but this will be the model on which we will work. From now on, I will only consider this model for the rest of my talk and presentation. Okay, this is the result. Okay, if you want to prove rigorously the things, we can do it. But we can prove that if you assume that the initial data are well prepared, then you have convergence of p, the fraction of infected mosquitoes, you have convergence into some function p0. The convergence is strongly in L2, weakly in L2 in time, H1 in space. And you can prove that p0, the limit, is a unique solution to this equation. Okay. And this is a very simple reaction diffusion equation. When you have a diffusion term, you have a reaction term, which is this one. What is important with this reaction term is that, first, this never vanishes. Okay? It's good because if it vanishes, it will be very bad for us. And the numerator only vanishes in 3 points, 0, 1, and theta. This is what we call a bistable equation. There is 3 equilibrium, 2 of them are stable, and 1 of them is unstable. The step for the proof, very shortly. First, of course, we want to prove convergence, but we need uniform estimate in N and P. From this uniform estimate, we use some compactness result to prove that since they are uniformly bounded, they converge up to a subsequence. And we can pass to the limit. This is very classical things. Okay. What I want to stress is that in this equation, okay, the dynamics is only given now by this equation. dTp minus Laplace of p is equal to f of p. F of p in this equation, what you have is you have only parameter depending on your model. I mean that the only parameter depend on the mosquitoes population. What are the parameters in this system? They are the death rate, the fecundity, the cytoplasmic incompatibility. That's all. Okay? With all these parameters, you know everything. Your model is determined. Thus, now we will study the spatial spread of Wolbachia. Okay, first, since we are addressing spatial spread, I just want to recall very simple things. What happens for the spatial spread in general bistable equation of this kind, dTp minus Laplace of p, I consider only one direction of propagation, but this is dx6p, is equal to f of p, when f is a bistable equation, that is a function that satisfies f of 0 is equal to 0, f of 1 is equal to 0, f of theta is equal to 0. F is negative on 0 theta and positive on theta 1. It means that 0 and 1 are stable, theta are unstable, is unstable, sorry. But what we know for this kind of equation? but we have two stable states, 0 and 1. And the question that we want to know is, imagine that okay, you are able to invade in certain place. You can you make a lot of release, and then in this place you are able to replace all the population by infecting mosquitoes. Okay, but there is a place where p is equal to 1. I recall p is the fraction of infected mosquitoes. Then p is equal to 1 means that all the mosquitoes are infected. But there is a place where p is equal to 1. There is some place where you have done nothing, when p is equal to 0. You have done nothing, but mosquitoes are natural. There is no Wolbachia in this population. And the question we want to know is that since mosquitoes are moving, there is one place when your p is equal to 1, one place when p is equal to 0. What will happen when the mosquito will move? If there is, will be an invasion of 1 into the state 0 or 0 into the state 1? This question is very well known, and we know the results since many years now. Yes, the first question is this one. The second question is that if an invasion occurs, if we know that we can invade, the question is how to guarantee the invasion. How you can make the release such that you be sure that the invasion will occur. Okay, the first question is very well known. Now I just want to show the results which are very since the 80s now, even before. And the question is related to the looking for traveling waves. What is traveling waves? Traveling waves are particular solutions which are in translation with constant speed c. That is solution p of tx, which can be written as a function of x minus ct. C is the velocity, which is assumed to be constant. And of course, as I say, I assume that in one part I have the state 1, in one other part I have the state 0, thus I put this boundary condition, minus infinity is equal to 1, plus infinity is equal to 0. Okay? Thus I have state 1, I have state 0, and I look for some wave traveling in certain direction with a certain speed that I call c. Well, the first thing that we can do on this equation, this very simple computation, is to first, but since I want to look for a function p as a function of x minus ct, I plug this and that into my equation. I recall the equation which is here, dtp minus Laplace of p is equal to f of p. I say p is a function of x minus ct, thus dtp is equal to minus c p prime. The second derivative is here, and you have f of p. Thus this is the equation we want to solve. With this boundary condition, and we don't know what is c. First, you multiply by p prime and you integrate. Thus you have minus c p prime square, you integrate, you give this quantity. The second term is p prime multiplied by p second. This is a derivative. But when you integrate the derivative, the integral goes away. Because you integrate something which has a derivative. We know the derivative, but when you integrate, this term goes away. Then you multiply f of p multiplied by p prime, which is this term. Okay, I just change the sign, the minus, and I put it here. And f of p multiplied by p prime, if you make the change of variable, let's say zeta is equal to pi of x, you recognize that this is f of c dx. Okay, between 0 and 1. Okay, this very simple computation, everybody know it. But what is interesting with this kind of things is that it gives you an important result, this one. The sign of c is exactly the sign of this quantity. Okay, but c is positive. C is positive, it means that you have invasion of the state 1 to the state 0. Okay, but the wave goes in this direction. Here you have 1, here you have 0, but the wave goes in this direction. But c is positive if and only if this integral is positive. And I recall that what I said before, f is only parameterized by biological data. But this is something that you cannot change. This is something that cannot change. But if your population does not have the parameters that give you that this relation is satisfied, but you can do nothing. You will never be able to invade your. You will never be able to have spatial invasion. Whatever you do will not be possible. But in other words, we can have invasion of the state 1 only if this quantity is positive. Fortunately, if you look to, we take some data from the literature, and actually, if you plug the function f, it looks like that. Okay, and you see that the integral is positive because this area here is much bigger than this one. Thus, we are in the case where we can have invasion. But this is a very good point. Okay, just to recall, okay, we know that we can have invasion. Now the result is this one. We know that there exists actually a traveling wave which is decreasing. The velocity is positive, and it's a solution to this equation when f is bistable. Just to recall the idea, there is many ideas, there is many proof of this kind of result, and one of the proof, which is I think quite simple, is to use a phase space method, consisting in, okay, what we want to do is to solve this equation. That is, sorry, I come back a little bit earlier. You want to look for a solution of this kind. Then if you plug this expression into the equation, it gives you this equation. And this is the equation that is written here, okay? With this boundary condition. And an idea consists in saying that since you look for a solution which is decreasing, you can invert it as a function x of p. And instead of looking for a solution p tilde, you look for w, which is defined as minus p prime x of p. Okay? And if you want to know what is the equation satisfied by w, you compute w prime, derivative with respect to p, with a chain rule, it gives this. And if you look for w thanks to this equation, since you know what is, w is p prime, when you derive it, you have p second, which is this, divided by p prime, which is this. Okay? And if you replace the second derivative by this expression, what you get is that w should satisfy this equation. With the boundary condition, 0 in 1 should be 0. And now we are left with a shooting method. Use the shooting method, and this idea comes from the paper of Berestiki, Nikolenko, Scherer, which is a very famous paper, when they use this kind of idea to get the existence of traveling wave. Okay. But the idea is to use the phase space method. That is, we start from a system in 2 dimensions, and we arrive in a very simple shooting method in 1 dimension. Okay. The second question that I was asking is, okay, we know that we can have invasion. Now, what we do is we release mosquitoes in some place, and we want to know how we can do the release such that the invasion will occur. Because we know that we can have a traveling wave, but we don't know if we start with 0, we never go to the traveling wave. How to be sure that we will converge into the traveling wave, or at least to converge to the state 1. Thus, the question is how to initiate a wave. And the answer is the following one. Okay. There exists a family of functions f alpha, compactly supported, radially symmetric, and decreasing. But it's a function which looks like a bubble. We call it bubble. Sorry, it's not written there, but yes, it's written there. Alpha bubble. Okay. This is a bubble that is a function which is like that. Okay. Compactly supported. Then it has looks like a bubble like that. Okay. This is, the derivative is 0 here. And we know that if this is due to a comparison principle, if initially you are above one of these bubbles, only one, there are many bubbles, but if initially you are above this bubble, then P converges to 1 uniformly on every compact T, on every compact as time T goes to plus infinity. Okay? But there exists a family of functions such that if initially you know that you are above this family of functions, then you know that you will have initiation of the wave, you will have propagation and convergence to the state 1. The consequence is the fact that if you make the release into a bounded domain containing the support of one bubble, then if you do the release quite large enough, you are sure that the probability of success of invasiveness tends to 1 as the number of releases goes to plus infinity. But there is one condition: the domain when you do the release should be wide enough such that it contains a support of one bubble. Okay, this result is known. This kind of actually this kind of threshold, because the fact that you have this kind of quantity is known since maybe 10 years due to work of Slatos, and it has been extended recently. This is only in 1 dimension, and it has been extended in any dimension. The more recent result is due to Muratov and Zhang. The most recent result that I know, maybe there are some other new results, I don't know. This one. This corresponds to the critical bubble, with the bubble. But the bubble are like that. You take in value here, and you have something that goes to 0, and then you cut it to 0 here. Okay? And then you symmetrize to have the same on the right. But these are all the family of bubbles which are compactly supported, except the last one, which is not compactly supported. But I don't want to enter into this detail. Okay, numerically, what we can see. This is the thing we can be interesting. Okay, these are 2 examples where we can see that we use the same amount of mosquitoes, but we consider 2 different configurations initially. The blue curve corresponds to the initial release. Okay, maybe you cannot see, but here it's written initial release. And then you have the tide dynamic, which corresponds to the red curve. But on the left, you consider initial release, which is like that, but you do nothing almost everywhere except in this area between -2.5 and 2.5. Okay? But here you put a wide amount of mosquitoes, such that the proportion P is equal to 80%. Okay. 80% of mosquitoes are infected, but you make the release here, and then you look to what happens. And you see that after a certain time, it decreases, and then everything converts to 0. Now you use the same amount of mosquitoes, but you release it in a wider region. Here it is minus 2.5, 2.5. Here it is minus 5, 5. Okay? And you see that on the contrary, now it converts to 1. This is just to illustrate the fact that the spatial repartition is very, very important. What is, of course, the number of mosquitoes that you use is important, but this is not what is the most important. Okay. But it is also very important that the spatial repartition should be wide enough to be sure that actually what we want to know is to be sure that there is a critical bubble that we can put below this initial data. This is the case here. This is not the case here.
The total mass is the same?
The total mass is exactly the same. You have the same amount of mosquitoes, exactly the same. You use the same amount of mosquitoes, but just the spatial repartition is not the same. But here is narrow, but it's higher. Here you have 0.8, here you have 0.7. But when it's wider, it's better. Okay? And there is another also comparison, which is this one. Here you use the same, also the same amount of mosquitoes, but the distance between the two places of release is wide, and here it's very small. Okay? In this case, you have no invasion. Everything goes to 0. In this case, you have initiation of a wave, and you have a propagation that occurs. Okay? And only, okay, the question is to know what should be the distance, how we can optimize this kind of distance. For the moment, we don't know, but at least numerically, we can see things. And this is what we can see. Okay? Once again, it's the same amount of mosquitoes. We have two places where we release exactly the same amount, but not the same location. They are very close here and not very quite wide. Okay, using the same idea with radial symmetry, we can prove also the results in higher dimension. And the consequence is this one. Let omega be a bounded domain containing the support of one bubble. Then, this is important. It should contain the support of one bubble. Then if you perform some random point release in omega, the probability of success tends to 1 as the number of release goes to plus infinity. There is some illustration here. Here, we fix a box in red when we put the release. With this is 3 different configurations. The first one, the second one, and the third one. And the time goes to, the time increase from the top to the bottom. Okay? This initial time, after 25 days, after 50 days. Okay, if you make a certain number of release, this is the same amount of release. You make some amount of release here, here, and here. But what changes is only the box when you want to do the release. You give some box to people. You give some mosquitoes to people. You say to the people, OK, you have to do release in this area. OK, they do the release in this area, quite random. And in three cases, they do the release in different area. And then you see what happens. In this case, the box is too wide, and then there is no fixation that occurs. Okay? But you see that after a certain time, here we have nothing, and everything disappeared, convert to 0. In this case, also, it will convert to 0, but because the box is too small. Okay? And finally, if you optimize quite well your box, you see that after a certain time, you have fixation here. Here you have the region which has with probability, which is with a proportion which is equal to 1. And then once you have this, you know that, we have to continue the computation, but you know that now you have initiated the traveling wave, and the traveling wave will continue because there is no reason that it stops. There is no reason that it stops, but sometimes it can stop depending on the heterogeneity of your media. This is the transition with the last part of my talk. Okay, and this is what we are interested in. The heterogeneity in the environment. The question is, can strong variation in the total density of mosquitoes stop the propagation? Imagine that you know that you have a wave that propagates. You are able to initiate a wave, but you have a wave of mosquitoes. Here, mosquitoes are infected, and it propagates like that. But it enters into a region where the number of mosquitoes, the total population, increases a lot. Imagine, for instance, there is a place where the breeding site here, okay, and the number of mosquitoes is really high, and you have an increase of the total number of mosquitoes in this region. Thus, mosquitoes arrive, but they see a lot of more mosquitoes which are not infected. But the question is it enough? Can we guarantee that this wave will go across this area? That's the question we want to know. Or maybe it can block. Okay, But in order to take into account the spatial variation in the total density of populations, I did not n the total, sorry, yes, this is n the total, I forget to say it, but n is the total population, is the total density of mosquitoes, the total number of mosquitoes. But we call n this total number of mosquitoes. And in order to take into account, this model has been introduced, or we can prove that also we can obtain this kind of model from the initial model when you make the, when you make the reductions that I presented at the beginning. But we have this model, very simple model, as the same as before, except that I have this extra term. If you assume that n is constant, this term, the gradient disappears. Thus, you have the equation that we had before, dTp minus Laplace of p is equal to f of p. And now we do not assume anymore that n is constant. We assume that n has a certain shape, and this term now has a certain importance. What is the shape for n that we assume is the following one, because for simplicity, of course. For simplicity, we assume that or the x of log of n is equal to a constant, or it is equal to 0. This is typically what, this is not what happens here, but imagine that this is log of n. This is typically what appears here. Okay, but the question is, we have this equation, f bistable. Can we block waves? Does there exist a steady state for this system? But we are looking for blocking wave. Blocking wave are typical example of stationary solution. Stationary solution because it is waves propagate with a speed 0. Okay, but it propagates with speed 0, it means it stops. Okay, and if and this is what is written here. If there exists a stationary solution of this kind, okay, that I call CL barrier. CL barrier is a stationary solution. If there is a stationary solution, denoted PB, then any solution to my problem such that initially P initial is less than the stationary solution, for any time, P will stay below this stationary solution. Okay? This is just a consequence of the maximum principle. You know that you have a maximal solution. Since you are below initially, you stay below your maximal solution. So comparison principle says that if you have a maximal solution, you will always stay below this maximal solution. But that's why it's very interesting to know if there exists stationary solution. If there is a stationary solution for this problem. Okay, this is the equation we want to solve. Minus p second is equal to c p prime is equal to f of p, but c is only on the region minus L. On the other region, we have, because as written here, log of n is assumed to be constant, but you have 0. Okay, the 2 is just to compensate the 2 which is here. Just, here we have 0, thus you have two equations. One equation on the region minus LL, one equation on the region R minus LL. We still want to solve the boundary condition p minus infinity is equal to 1, p of plus infinity is equal to 0, and we want p to be positive. Let's recall that we know one particular solution, which is the case where actually where L is equal to plus infinity. That is this case. We know this solution. I have already presented it. This solution minus p second minus c star p prime is equal to f of p. This is the solution of the traveling wave equation. This is a traveling wave. We know that there exists one traveling wave. We know what is the speed. The speed is c star, and we know that the speed c star is positive provided this quantity is positive. Thus, since we know the existence for this solution, since we are looking for something which is similar on minus LL but not similar on the rest of the domain, we know also by a comparison principle that actually C should be bigger than C star to have existence of these stationary waves. Okay? Yes. But this is one condition that appears naturally. And actually, what we can prove is a little bit more precise than that. The theorem is this one. Assume C is positive, L is positive. Then, if C is bigger than C star is the traveling speed for the bistable equations that we are looking at. If C is bigger than C star, then there exists L star of C, positive, such that there exists a CL barrier for only L, if and only if L is bigger than L star. Okay? But if you fix C bigger than C star, you can always find a width guaranteeing that you have existence of a stationary solution. This is what says the result. And moreover, we can have more precisely what is the dynamics, what is the profile of L star. When C goes to C star, L star goes to plus infinity. This is obvious because it's the fact that when C goes to C star, that means when C goes to the traveling speed, but then we go to this equation. We know that there is only one solution there is uniqueness of solution for this equation, and of course it means that the solution should convert to this unique solution. So that's why L should go to plus infinity. And when C goes to plus infinity, on the contrary, then we know that the L star looks like something which behaves like 1 over C. Okay? And we know precisely what is a constant. Capital F is an antiderivative of small f. But you have a precise, okay, it's interesting, but this is what you obtain. Thus, I recall, if C is bigger than C star, we can always find a L such that there exists a CL barrier. Now, we can have more precise characterization of this barrier, of this CL barrier. First, the barrier is decreasing. And moreover, actually, there is not only one barrier, there is a lot of barriers. If L is bigger than L star, then there exists at least 2 CL barriers, at least 2, but more, at least, it means that maybe more. And they are totally ordered. That is that we can define a maximal one and a minimal one. Since they are ordered, we can define the minimal one and the maximal one. And what is interesting is that the maximal one is unstable from above, and the minimal one is stable from below. Okay, what it means? What it means? We have the domain X, and we have a region minus LL where we have a strong increase of the total population of mosquitoes, which is this region here. We know that there exist at least 2 CL barriers, a minimal one and a maximal one. This one is a minimal one, this one is a maximal one. They are ordered, meaning that we know that this one is below this one. And we can always say that at any point, this point is bigger, smaller than this one, and so on. But we can order it. Okay, and this one is stable from below. It means that if you have a wave that arrives from the left, it will converge to this thing, stable. It's stable from below. But it cannot cross. Here it cannot cross. It will be stopped. You have a barrier here, it can be stopped. Here we don't know what happens. And this one is unstable from above. It means that if you are a little bit above, if you are a little bit after this, this curve here, then you have a wave that will continue in this direction. Okay? What it means? It means that if you know that your propagation will stop in this region, then you have to pay an extra cost to be sure that you can cross this region. And the extra cost you have to pay is to be sure that when you do more release, you are above this solution that you can compute. Okay? This is the extra cost that you have to do. But we know that we can do an extra cost such that we can go away and cross the obstacle. Maybe I will skip the proof. And I just, yes, I have to say maybe some reference for that. It's a different application, but there is these 2 papers when they look also for wave blocking in the framework of excitable media, Lewis and Kinner, and in the framework of something in the brain, Guillemette Chapuisat and Romain Joly. Here there is normally a movie, but let's try if it's working. Yes, okay. No, I've seen it. It's okay. Okay, before running, but continue. What I've done here, I put here in this area a place where there is a huge increase of the size of the population. Normally it should block, but you see that it blocks on the left. On the right, I do nothing. But it continues, the way it propagates, it continues, but here it is blocked. But this is an example of what happens in time. Now I have to come back to my presentation. Yes, Control L is the best way to do it. Here, this is the same, but in 2D. We look for, this is the time dynamic, this is the space. But you see that here you have blocking. The wave is blocked here. But here it crosses, in this case. The difference is the value. You take on the left, you take L is equal to 6, and with C is equal to 0.5. On the right, you take the same L, but you take C, which is lower. And you see that if C is lower, then you can cross the region. And this is the same. You take the same L, but there is an arrow, and you see that when C is big, you can find C big enough so that you can stop the propagation. Okay. Okay. To conclude, to answer to the first two questions that I set at the beginning of my my presentation as an introduction. The success of the spatial propagation of the Wolbachia infected depends strongly on the position of the release, and we know that the release should be wide enough in a domain which is wide enough so that it guarantees infestation, and we should use a large, sufficiently enough mosquitoes to do that. And the second point is that the spatial heterogeneities may be important because they can stop the propagation. Some perspectives, some questions that we are looking at for the moment is okay. First, to extend the result to the system of two populations. Here, for the blocking, you see that sometimes you can cross, but when you cross, you have some delay. And the question is, what is the delay? Normally, if nothing appears, you will have a propagation which is like that. Then here you arrive at the same point, but with a certain delay. But what is the delay? How to compute it? And for the invasion, yes, this is a problem of comparison with what is really observed in the field. Something that we have started now is to make an active control to the release protocol. Since you do release in time, actually you don't do it once for once and then you wait what happens, but you do it every week. And the question is how to make a control of that, because you know after 1 week you can take some data and you can observe what happens, and then you can act to control and to correct the problem if there is some problem. And how to control that, and how to optimize the release. To optimize the release in terms of number of mosquitoes that you use. Finally, yesterday Professor Aragon said that we have to publicize for events. Thus I finished with some advertisement. Maybe you are aware that the fact that 2018 is the year of mathematical biology, which has been jointly decided by EMS and the European Society of Mathematical and Theoretical Biology. EMS is the European Mathematical Society. I know that not everybody is from Europe here, but okay. But 2018 will be the year of mathematical biology, and there is a lot of events in mathematical biology. And if you are interested, there is this very nice, we organize this very beautiful summer school. I know that George is a great fan of this summer school, but if you are interested, please. Okay. Thank you for your attention.